All right, and welcome to my video today. This is Rob from trainrugged.com, and today I want to talk to you about what I think to be one of the most important abdominal core functioning muscles that we don't necessarily train in the whole fitness and exercise world, and that's going to be your transverse abdominis, also known as your TVA. So I wanted to make this video because over the past few years, through demonstration and my own mentorship, I've learned some of the most effective ways to get clients and athletes to actually train, build, engage, and improve the functioning of their transverse abdominis. Now, real quick, the transverse abdominis is going to be the deepest layer of your, what we consider the core, which is this cylinder between your rib basket and your pelvic cavity. So the transverse abdominis essentially acts as almost a corset around the rib basket, and then it attaches to the top of the iliac crests, or the ilium, which are the two bones of your pelvis. Now, one of the reasons I really wanted to make this video is because, you know, having been a trainer for over 10 years, we don't train our TVA consciously with intention or any sort of precision in understanding how to make it work. Now, it's an important muscle posturally speaking, but also dynamically speaking. We want the core to move with us in the world. We want the core to support us, yet we don't give this much deeper layer enough attention, especially during warm-ups, let alone exercise and activity. So I'm going to be drawing from some modalities from my own mentor here, Santosh Karmacharya in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and also somebody I've been following for a few years who's out in Seattle, Naughty Aguilar of Functional Patterns. And I'm going to show you two different exercises that I use with my clients to get them to understand and feel their TVA responding with the mindful intention that they use. So real quick, TVA is going to help lateral flexion of the trunk, flexion, rotation, and then it's also, it assists in respiration. So it assists in making sure that the rib basket can move when you breathe. And it also works on abdominal compression. So if you're somebody struggling with, bloating, intestinal, GI cramping, blockage issues, training your TVA could actually improve not only athletic performance, posture, and day-to-day functioning, but it can actually help to assist in abdominal churning of the entire viscera. So I'm going to demonstrate two of these exercises right now, and I hope you do it along with me, and then you can utilize this on your own. And like I said, you can either reach out to me for questions, or if you go to functionalpatterns.com or type that in on YouTube, they also have several effective ways of teaching you how to engage your transverse abdominis, which again I'm going to highlight and constantly reinforce that it's one of the most important fundamental core muscles that we have got to understand how to use. So first I'm going to show a supine variation, and then I'm going to show Naughty Aguilar's prone variation. So all you're going to need, I like to use a yoga block. That's going to allow me to get my adductors to engage a little bit more, and if my adductors fire, I have a better likelihood of being able to engage my TVA. So I want you to take the yoga block the second widest way, all right, and then we're going to just go to a low bridge position. So here we are. Now, I'm just going to settle my arms wherever, okay, either here, palms up, cactus arms, but somewhere where I can fully rest my wrists. All right, and then I'm going to take about anywhere from 6 to 18 breaths, sort of grounding myself. Now every time I breathe in, I want to release some of the pressure on the block, And every time I breathe out, I want you to actively press through your feet, squeeze on the block, and retract your navel towards the floor. So I breathe in, and I breathe out. The whole time I'm thinking about bracing my spine to the floor, flattening it, and being sure that none of my throat muscles are taking over the movement. All the action is happening from below my navel. All right, so my chest, my collarbone stays long, chest and shoulders and neck stay out of the equation. And with each breath, you want to feel like you deepen, and you're constantly pulling the navel towards the front of the spine. All right. After you've done this for 1 to 2 minutes, you're going to peel your feet up and let the ankles be higher or as high as the knees. I'm going to take my hands, put them on my thighs. All right. Now, on a breath in, you're going to simply push the knees away. On a breath out, squeeze the block, push the legs on the hands, but don't over-engage the arms. Again, on my exhale, I'm engaging on the block, and I'm pulling the belly down to the spine, and you'll feel your lumbar vertebrae actually push to the floor. All right, you might start to develop or put in a slight posterior tilt, but I don't want you to think about tucking too much underneath. Then I'll grab behind my knees, rock side to side. Now for video purposes, I'm only doing this for about 30 to 45 seconds. In my warm-up and with my clients, I will be doing this for 1 to 3 minutes. Because I want to elicit almost a tremoring response. Not too much, but I want to be able to tell that the person is recruiting muscles that they don't normally recruit. So we're waking up dormant tissue and bringing it into the picture. All right? So second TVA activation, I'm going to use a foam pad. I got this on Amazon for 15 bucks. And you're going to come to a forearm plank with your knees down. So let's see. I'm shooting this video alone, so I want to make sure my whole body's in it. Tops of the feet down. All right, and you're going to start in a tabletop position. All right. Now from here, you're going to add a slight posterior tilt. All right. And then I want you to notice where your middle fingernail is, and you're going to bring your elbows down to that position. So here I am. Tops of the feet stay to the floor. And then I have karate hands with my hands. So I'm driving my elbows and forearms down, a slight posterior tilt, and then I'm trying to retract my shoulders back towards one another. And I breathe. You want to feel equal lengths in the front and back of your neck. And same thing, my belly never sinks towards the floor. It's always working to move towards the spine, towards the ceiling. And you'll see I'm shaking right now because it's hard. Option to do it with flat hands or a block between your palms. But I really want you to make sure your wrists and elbows are in one line. And you're either going to actively feel your elbows pull back or roll towards each other. All right. So these are the 2 transverse abdominis exercises for you to practice. All right. I want you to think of your core as the bridge for all movement. Okay. And if you can understand and make it so that TVA doesn't even have to think about engaging, it just, like you build it and train it to the degree that it carries you through the world and it functions and moves with you, you're going to start to understand that your core is the anchoring system for all movement. All right, so if I want to start to move shoulders and hips and knees, elbows, wrists, ankles, and all these distal parts of me, you really want to understand the spinal integrity and the drawing in to then reach out and expand. All right, but if we don't have the transverse abdominis engagement or recruitment, and if it's not on our side, if it's not with us, then a lot of these exercises we do in like fitness classes, it's going to lead to an inflammatory response, inflammation of the joints, inflammation of the tissues, disrupted circulation of the body, and stressors. And then all of a sudden our nervous system is in a fight or flight mode, and it's because we're not supporting ourselves by training intentionally and exercise and doing movements and breathing patterns that are unique to our anatomy. Now, coincidentally, I would say in the Western world, probably the entire 21st century, I would say we all need to learn about the transverse abdominis and forget about the superficial vanity muscles, worry about them later. Let's get to the core issue of our physical development and understand this deep, effective, significant muscle. And if you start to do this, you will experience less pain, improved movement. You'll get stronger. You'll become more explosive. Your endurance will get better. Like, take all the physical categories that you're trying to improve upon, and understand that TVA activation, along with adductors and quads, which is for another video, you will see yourself get better. So that's it today. The one thing I did not mention is when your knees are down on this pad and you're holding that prone position, which is the second TVA activation, gently move your knees, hug them towards each other, or think about pushing the knees down into the pad. And that's going to recruit some of the knee to hip musculature, which is then going to affect the response of your transverse abdominis. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new from the prone and supine TVA activation. Start on the floor, work your way to a standing position. I heard one guy say it best, that walking is the most complicated movement that there is. And as bipeds in this world, it's important for us to look at our walking mechanics, our gait. And this is something that we do over here at Om Namo in Cambridge, at the training center in Boston. And then also functional patterns, which is starting to really open up all over the country, but specifically online, they focus on the gait pattern as well. And if you work with a body worker or a structural integrator, they can talk to you extensively about gait as well, and how it's fundamental for good, improved functioning in the world. So continue to reach into your human potential, learn about your transverse abdominis, and see how it carries on into your world of athletics, fitness, activity, whatever it is that you do. Even if you don't work out and you're just a posture person trying to improve it, work on your transverse abdominis. Thank you so much.